Well, what's the difference between a consensual relationship going sour and rape? Well, hi there, I'm Meghna Deka, and that's what we are going to be decoding for you today on Decoding Now. Well, the Supreme Court has made strong verbal observations on premarital relationships. Justice Nagaratna has observed, and I quote her here, "Maybe we are old-fashioned, but before marriage, a boy and a girl are strangers. We fail to understand how they can be in a physical relationship before marriage." Now, these observations have sparked off a massive debate in India. Are rape laws being misused by women in consensual relationships? Or are men using false promises of marriage to entrap women? And if the relationship ends, will it be a case of rape? Well, tonight we are going to discuss this in the context of a case which has come up in the Supreme Court. A man allegedly promised to marry a woman, had intimate relationship with her, and then didn't marry her. So what began as a matrimonial match has now snowballed into a courtroom battle. Let's give you all the charges leveled against him. We go back to early 2022. The two of them met on a matrimonial website. A promise of marriage was allegedly made. What follows is a relationship, a physical relationship spanning across Delhi and later Dubai. But on the 19th of January 2024, 2 years later, the lady claims that she discovered that the man had married again, a second wife, and this time in Punjab, while he was still in a relationship with her. After this, an FIR was filed, serious charges of rape were slapped, and bail was rejected, first by the lower court, then by the Delhi High Court. Then in November 2025, just last year, Delhi High Court made a very sharp observation. It said that the promise to marry appeared false from the very beginning, since he was already married at the time. Well, the matter then finally reached the Supreme Court. Here, the bench cautions against premarital relationships between strangers and urges caution. So this man, remember, is still in Tihar jail since 2024, and his plea comes up shortly in the Supreme Court again. So what are the charges that he faces? Well, remember, the alleged crime was filed against IPC in 2024 because by the time BNS was not in place. The man is accused of rape on the false promise of marriage, with the complainant claiming that her consent was obtained with deception. He is also facing charges of cheating, allegedly hiding his existing marriage on a matrimonial website to draw her into a relationship. The woman also claims that he secretly recorded their intimate videos in Dubai without her knowledge. So an added offense linked to voyeurism has been added against him. There's also the charge of criminal intimidation. She says that he threatened to leak these intimate videos of theirs if she resisted him or complained about it. And finally, bigamy. Well, viewers, this is extremely important because while assuring her that he's going to marry her someday, the accused in the case allegedly went ahead and married for a second time to a different woman in January 2024. So from deception to secret recordings to threats and then second marriage, this case now stands at the intersection of trust, betrayal, and criminal law. In fact, based on this, let's tell you exactly what Justice Nagaratna had observed. She said, "Maybe we are old-fashioned, but before marriage, a boy and girl are strangers. Whatever may be the thick and thin of their relationship, we fail to understand how they can be in a physical relationship before they get married. You must be very careful. Nobody should believe anybody before marriage. She should not have gone before marriage if it was so strict about it. We will send them to mediation. These are not cases which are to be tried and convicted when there is a consensual relationship." So what does the law say about this fine line between rape and consensual relationship going wrong? Well, on the promise of marriage specifically, well, the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita clearly punishes sexual intercourse by employing deceitful means, saying whoever by deceitful means or making promise to marry a woman without any intention of fulfilling this promise has sexual intercourse with her, such sexual intercourse is not amounting to the offense of rape, shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 10 years and shall also be liable to fine. There you have it. That's the law in black and white. But let's also tell you about the precedents which have been set by the Supreme Court itself. In the case of Uday versus the state of Karnataka, the Supreme Court said that false promise must be deliberate from inception, as in from the very beginning. In another case, Pramod Surbhan Pawar versus the state of Maharashtra. Here the Supreme Court said breach of promise and false promise are very different. Then in the Anurag Soni versus the state of Chhattisgarh, you have the Supreme Court observing that if intention is to deceive, rape conviction is possible. These are all very significant. Now let's also tell you about the numbers which are related to the pretext of promise to marry, and these numbers are startling. Across India, nearly a quarter of rape cases are linked to alleged false promises of marriage. In Delhi, studies suggest that many of the cases stem from relationships which were later criminalized. And in Uttar Pradesh, this figure is as high as 57%. But not just this. In the past, there have been other observations by courts as well, which has sparked off debates in the society. Are they Sanskari or are they regressive? Sample this and decide for yourself. The Supreme Court in April 2025 said, it has been time and again settled by the court that the mere fact that physical relationships were established on a promise to marry will not amount to rape in every case. Here's another one. The Supreme Court in February 2026 cited the previous order and then added to it, saying that the facts of the present case unmistakably indicate a classic case of a consensual relationship turning acrimonious. Then Delhi High Court, this was in 2017, had observed that instances of women behavior are not unknown, that a feeble no may mean yes. If the parties are strangers, the same theory may not be applied. Then you have the Allahabad High Court in 2025 in a sexual assault case had said, even if the allegation of the victim is accepted as true, then it can also be concluded that she herself invited trouble and was also responsible for the same. You also had the Karnataka High Court in June 2020 remarking, it's not mentioned why she, which is the victim, went to her office at 11 p.m. She has also not objected to consuming drinks with the petitioner and allowing him to stay with her till morning. The explanation that after the perpetration of the act, she was tired and fell asleep is unbecoming of an Indian woman. This is not the way our women react when they are ravished. However, we must note that the Supreme Court pulled up the judge in this case for the words which were used and had been criticized widely as victim shaming. So as you can see, this is not the first time that the Supreme Court has sparked off a debate on when consent by deception is not consent at all. Well, that's all for me right here on Decoding Now. On the comment section, do tell us what else you want decoded next.